Help is on the way. Prospects getting the call up to the big leagues and who to target on the waiver wire this week. We'll give you our top five hitting duos from around the league, and we will finish up with our critically acclaimed The Word on Wall Street to tell you which stocks to buy and which ones to sell. This is Good Faith and Fastballs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Good Faith and Fastballs, episode 7. We're already at episode 7, Zums. We are your hosts, Sean from Imperial, as well as my sidekick, Zumby. Zums, want to get right into it. It's now, we are recording, it's here May 6th. And this is the time of year where you always got to win in the margins, and that's just the goalposts kind of move around depending on the calendar. And here in early May, I think this is the perfect time to start targeting some young prospects. They're going to be difference makers now and into the rest of the MLB season. And want to start. This is in order of ownership, leading with Trey Yesevich. The Toronto Blue Jays starting pitcher. He is 64% owned, and he's the number 7 ranked prospects. This is according to MLB.com, their top 100. But coming into the season, Yesevich was on everyone's radar. Dealt with a little bit of a shoulder issue coming into the season, and started actually on a rehab assignment. But he's since returned, made his debut on 4/28. He's had 2 starts. But the reason I included him here, only 64% ownership, and he's already proven to be an asset in fantasy in his 2 starts in the big leagues. 9.96 ERA, 1.29 WHIP, 8.44 K per 9. Is Yesevich on your radar, and how do you see him kind of shaping up the rest of the year as far as an asset?
Yeah, I mean, you said 64% ownership. I mean, I don't think he should be available at all, regardless of the format, the size of the league. So, Sean, we got to remember about Trey. He started 2025 in single A. He rose through all 4 minor league ranks and made his debut last September. And if you remember that historic run that he made in the World Series last year, he set a rookie record with 12 strikeouts in the World Series and a Blue Jays record with 11 strikeouts in the ALDS game too. So he made his mark fairly quickly, rose through the ranks very quickly, a fairly quick progression for a guy like Trey Yesevich. I don't know how good Toronto is this year, but he is certainly one of the prized possessions up there north of the border. Hard thrower. Again, if he's available, snag him. I guarantee you there's guys in your rosters that are disposable to replace with a guy like Trey. Yeah, he's well known around the fantasy baseball world. In our league, he was drafted and basically held on to for the last about month and a half ish. So he's not available for us, Sean, unfortunately. But if he is out there on your wire, I would go ahead and grab him today.
Yeah, the 64% owned. I expect that to get up over 80 here quickly. But just wanted to think of everyone out there. I think one of my favorite things about baseball, and I've noticed this on a handful of episodes, is how we can pronounce a guy's name differently. I always called Max Fried. You called him Freed. I called him Trey Yesevich. You called him Yesevich. I think that's just fun pronouncing names, and there's a million ways to do it.
So I pride myself on being an intellectual heavyweight, and we joke all the time. I mispronounce a ton of words, and we joke that I missed the 2 weeks of phonics back in third grade because there was obviously a lesson that I wasn't taught about, pronunciation of words or following the correct syllables. Unfortunately, names are a little bit different, but typically the way I go about it is I knowingly pronounce their names incorrectly if I don't respect them as a person or a player.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach to take. Just kind
It's
of
a
let
good
it
way to
roll off
it's a
your
good way
back.
to go through it's a good way to go through life, like
Yeah,
James Cerrillo, I guess, you know what I mean.
yeah. And I also think I don't necessarily think you skipped any steps in elementary school. I think it might be the Yinzer in you as far as pronunciation, because my dad, Leo, is one of the worst of all time, especially at like baseball names. Like he wouldn't even be able to attempt to say that. So I think it might just be a little the Yins in us.
Well, I was a math and science guy, Sean.
Yeah.
Didn't really enjoy English.
Yeah, no, it's all good. That's what it's a team sport. Moving along here. So again, Savage was at 64% ownership. Now we're going to take a pretty big leap down to 28% owned in Peyton Toll. Now Zums, he was on folks' radar coming into the season. He was is the 13th ranked prospect. Been pretty sharp out of the gate set in so far in 2026 for the Red Sox. 17 and two-thirds innings pitched with a 1-1 record. The ERA 2.04. The WHIP's under 1 at 0.74. K per 9. Look at this, 11.72, and the xFIP checks out 3.18. What's not to like about Peyton Tolzon?
Oh man, he has the look of a winner. Big mustache, we call him around these parts. Yeah, I mean, round two, pick number 50. Having a great year. He's made three starts, two of which were very good, one of which was meh, kind of somewhat average there. But his Savant page is pretty fantastic. His ERA right now is 2.04 and his xERA is 2.03. So he's not getting a whole bunch of luck there. Those are true results that you're seeing there. His expected batting average against is 0.157. Fastball velocity sits around 96. His K rate's around 35%. He's a big boy, 6'6", extension all the way to the plate. He's in the 98th percentile for that. I wonder up in Boston, having taken in a game at Fenway and just seeing the love of the fans up there for their team. They're somewhat in dire straits right now up there. Garrett Crochet out, a bit of an injury scare with your boy over the weekend, Sean,
Roman Anthony.
in the big Ranger Suarez. We're talking pitchers right now. So I just wonder, you have Connolly early up there, you have, Peyton Toll up there, you have Bennett up there, you have Crochet, you have Ranger Suarez. I'm missing one, and I know that I'm missing one, and I shouldn't be missing one per se. But how many roster spots, how many rotation spots are available up there? I think he's cementing himself as definitely a top five guy in that rotation. He keeps pitching the way that he's pitching now. He could easily be a top two option in that rotation by the time the year ends. Again, love to say he's available. He was just recently traded in our league. He was packaged with Sean. He was packaged with one other pitcher for
Peyton Toll.
yeah.
And we can look it up. But
For
I
for
think
Zach Wheeler, he was exchanged for Zach Wheeler 2 days ago. So you could argue that Peyton Toll might have more upside this year than Zach Wheeler 1 for 1. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about. Not so far in terms of the Red Sox, being a good team up there, but definitely some good young arms.
yeah. And as you were kind of talking about the Red Sox and fans are little nervous. The new manager, Chad Tracy, 40 years old, played baseball at Pepperdine. Imagine he'll kind of be in the interim role. But anytime you lose your manager at the beginning of the season, yeah, it's gonna worry people.
Sean, so I just looked. He was traded. Spencer Arrighetti and Peyton Toll for Zach Wheeler was the deal that was made in our league the other day. So
I'd say right now it's that could be fair. It could be fair.
yeah, it's all about
Um,
quantity of arms versus quality, but you might be getting both quantity and quality now with Peyton there, young Peyton. He looks
yeah.
like a young
So
he
yeah,
looks like a young Peyton.
to 28% owned, it's not like you have to go out and trade for him. Chances
Mhm.
are he's going to be sitting there waiting for you to pluck. So Peyton Toll 28% owned. Try and get your hands on him. This next guy was in the last episode of Good Faith and Fastballs. Noah Schultz, the big left-hander for the Chicago White Sox, 27% owned. Zombie's the 41st ranked prospect so far this year in the bigs. 21 and a third innings pitched, record at 2-1. ERA below 3, 2.53. WHIP nearly 1. It's at 1.03, 8.44 K per nine. You know me, I'm an XFIP guy. This is a little concerning. The XFIP is at 4.43. But, he's a young guy. I think he's going to be an incredible fantasy asset. I have him on my dynasty team, so maybe I'm a little bit of a homer. Do you have any thoughts on Noah Schultz?
Yeah, I mean, I think in fantasy baseball in general, I've said this before. I don't think win-loss is necessarily a pitcher statistic. I think he's going to have a hard time getting wins just based on the fact that he pitches for the White Sox. Now, they are improved. Their roster looks decent. They had an influx of both international and for or domestic grown talent. I don't know. I mean, his expected batting average 206, really really good. He doesn't, he misses a lot of barrels. They don't really hit the ball necessarily very hard off of him. I mean, the thing is, Sean, with us, we see that he's coming up, getting the call up at 8 o'clock on like a Tuesday night. By that point in time, by 8:05, I can guarantee you there's 15 claims on him in our league. So again, a little bit of a differentiation here between 20 team versus 12 team. But if he somehow, some way is available in your league, pick him up. The underlying metrics look good. And I think he's going to be a steadfast in that rotation here for years to come.
Yeah, and the point here is, as we go through the calendar, you got to change your approach as to who you're adding to your team. You always have to be adding because if you're not adding some, what are you? You're subtracting. So you got to always be constantly getting better. And with 27% ownership, there's a lot of teams out there that Noah Schultz will be able to help. So go see if you can grab Noah Schultz. This is the moment I've been waiting for, probably all year long. Robbie Snelling, the left-handed pitcher for the Miami Marlins, all signs point towards him starting this Friday with the big league club. He's the 32nd ranked prospect in Major League Baseball. Last year in AAA, between AA and AAA, 136 innings pitched, 9-7 record, 2.51 ERA, the WHIP at 1.11, K per nine off the charts at 10.99, and the XFIP checks out 2.72. And Zun, did I mention he is left-handed and he is picked up right where he left off in 2026? The K per nine is now at 13.66, the WHIP below 1, ERA below 2. Zummy, are you a little jealous that I've been sitting on Robbie Snelling for this long?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a transparent guy. I envy people who have the ability to hold on to guys in a 20 team league for as long as you have. So kudos, I would say to you. Yeah, this is a big loss for the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. This year he started 6 games, 3-1, 1.86 ERA, 29 innings pitched, .9 WHIP, 44 strikeouts. I mean, I think Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp have probably seen the last of Robert Snelling down there. I think once he is up, I think he's going to stick. I just think he's very good. I think that rotation is young. They have an aging guy who can kind of show them the ropes up there with Sandy Alcantara. But we're going to talk about another guy later, Max Meyer. They got Yuri Perez sitting up there as well. This has the chances to be one of the top rotations in the league, Sean, I would say.
Yeah, I like the Miami Marlins should be in win now mode for the reasons that you just stated. Those
Well,
pitchers.
you got you got guys down there too. You got foundational guys. You got the X-Man, Xavier Edwards. You got Liam Hicks, who's having kind of a breakout campaign of his own. Augustin Ramirez. I don't want to say RIP, but RIP for fantasy potentially getting demoted down to AAA. He had a great year last year, maybe just sophomore slumping, Sean. But yeah, I think they certainly have the talent down there. Tough division with my boys in Atlanta. But listen, we're seeing it in Pittsburgh right now, Sean. You have 3 to 4 really, really good arms. You can certainly make some noise.
Yeah, and Zom, this is again, I'm super excited about Robbie Snelling. There's a reason why I've, like you said, in a 20 team league, every roster spot matters, and I've been sitting on him for this long. But I think the juice could be worth the squeeze here because if if he stays up and deals all season long, uh, that's hundreds of points that no one else is getting that I found under the couch cushion. So 5% owned Robbie Snelling. Get ready for Bobby Snelling with the Miami Marlins. So moving along, a couple of hitters here. Let's see how you pronounce this one. I'm going to say Travis Bazana, the Cleveland Guardians second baseman, 19% owned. He is the 14th ranked prospect, according to MLB.com, top 100. He's started a little slow this year in the bigs. He has made the call to the bigs. 23 at bats, 174 batting average. The OPS is only at 519, no dingers, 2 RBI, 4 runs. He does have the 2 swipes. But you're the number 14th ranked prospect for a reason. He does have a really good track record. He does have speed on the base pass. The idea here is you want to get in front of the hot streaks, right? So I think a hot streak is around the corner for Travis Pizzana. What is your thoughts and opinions on the Guardians infielder?
I think he's fine to stay, on the waiver wire in more shallow leagues. I don't know. I just think there's better options out there right now. Obviously, he should be rostered in our league, and he is rostered in our league. I don't have the amount of fab that was spent on him, but it's hard to say. Former number one pick here.
Just fall short, like
Do, do,
lucky.
doesn't necessarily qualify here for a lot of baseball savant numbers. Some of the underlying stuff looks really good. He squares the ball up a lot. He's not chasing the ball a whole lot. He's not whiffing, striking out a lot. That's really, really good. His walk percentage is 21%. I just hope, he doesn't end up in the same camp as like Brady Aiken and Brian Taylor of the New York Yankees. I don't know if that's a name you remember, Sean. Danny Goodwin, Henry Davis, all former number one picks. And right now, we could probably call those guys flops. I'm not ready to necessarily say that about young Travis here. And I think it's Bazana, but we'll have somebody else correct us on that. Yeah, listen, I like the Guardians. We talked about them at length last week. We think the combination of Parker Messick and Gavin Williams is one of the top duos in the league. Tarek Skubal going down with an injury for Detroit this last week. I think that division's wide open. I think they need a guy like Bazana to make some noise to solidify that lineup because really outside of Chase DeLauder and Jose Ramirez, there's just not a whole lot to be excited about up there on Lake Erie. So we hope the best for Travis. Right now, like I said, though, depending upon the league size that you're in, I think he's probably able to stay out there until he can prove a little bit more.
Good take. Great analysis. Nothing more that I need to add there. Taking us home here with another a slugger. The 18th ranked prospect on MLB.com. That will be none other than Bryce Eldridge, the San Francisco Giants first baseman / designated hitter. Who knows? Maybe he'll even play some outfield along the way. But Zumps, real good, a lot of pedigree with this bat that he just got. He's played in 2 games. So this is a recent add to the Giants roster, but in 2026 in AAA, 963 OPS. Last year between AA and AAA, 843 OPS. I've consistently maintained that I really trust the MLB top 100 lists. So when it's the 18th ranked prospect and you see the OPS, checking out and you hear the plus power. You saw what I added them. I slotted them right into my starting lineup. What are your thoughts and opinions on Bryce Eldridge moving forward in 2026?
I think it's the same as Travis Bazana. I think it depends upon league size. Obviously, he's going to be picked up in a 20-team league. He's probably going to sit out there on the wire and rot for a little bit while he figures it out. Listen, I think, given position eligibility too, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he is only given DH eligibility for now in ESPN. Is that right?
That's accurate.
So I don't know. I mean, you said you trust the rankings. I more so trust organizations before I trust rankings. I trust organizations to develop and do the right thing. Now, listen, these guys are prospects for a reason. They know how to play the game. So I don't know how much stock you can really put into organizational development. Either you know how to play or you don't know how to play. But I think it's just going to take time for him to figure it out. Like I said, he's a top end prospect. I think it was 16th overall. I believe it was right out of high school too. So that San Francisco Giants lineup is putrid. Sean, have you seen some of the numbers in that starting lineup? Namely, our boy Rafael Devers. Have you seen what he's doing over there in the left coast?
Yeah, well, his bat speed, the MPH, every year is like going down a full tick. So I think we're seeing Father Time catch up.
It's looking like a bad contract out there. Either way, it's fun to get excited about young prospects, but these last two I can't necessarily get too excited about. I think I get more excited about pitching prospects more than I do hitting prospects. I think it takes longer for hitting prospects to kind of come along and make an impact. But yeah, no, Sean, great list. Thank you for compiling.
I will add one comment as far as pitchers, hitters, rookie year. Reese Hoskins rookie year, he came up towards the second half of the season, his rookie year, and I think he had 18 home runs his rookie year. And just every time I was opening my app, he was hitting a home run, and it was just awesome because it was kind of unexpected. So I'll never forget that run that Reese Hoskins went on, and I'll always be looking for the next one. Who knows? Maybe Bryce Eldridge will be that guy for Freemason Freddy's. All right, Zums. So that we took a look at, the young guys that we want to get out ahead of and add. Now, these are the guys that are doing it as we speak, who are making a difference, getting you wins. Zums, you put together your top 5 hitting duos from around the league. Can't wait to see this. 5 through 1. Zums, take it away. Top 5 hitting duos.
All right. Yeah, so this kind of builds off of last week. We did our top 5 pitching duos. Now we're going to do our top 5 hitting duos. Yeah, I think it's important to preface all of this with this is right now, as we sit here right now. Now, some of these duos here we expect to be there next week, the week after that, towards the end of the year. We fully expect that. Some on here might trail off. We might have some newcomers. We have some honorable mentions. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep it real simple. I'm going to start at 5, and I'm going to go down to 1 here. And I'm going to talk through batting average, OPS, home runs, RBIs, runs, and stolen bases. This is going to be all duo stuff, just like it was last week for our pitching segment. So the first one coming out of the NL Central Cincinnati Reds, I have Sal Stewart and Ellie De La Cruz. So a combined batting average of 264. Combined OPS of 856, 19 home runs, 54 RBI, 47 runs, and 15 stolen bases. I will say this, they do have the highest stolen base count. Sneakily, Sal Stewart with some speed on the base pass, although his bat is cooling off slightly. I've never really trusted the full arsenal of Ellie De La Cruz, especially in points league format, Sean. But what do you think here? Number 5, Sal Stewart and Ellie De La Cruz.
So a couple thoughts. I think De La Cruz to me looks like maybe this is the year he breaks out. Every year we come into it kind of worried about his strikeouts. They've played the Pirates in the series. He looks pretty locked in. So I'm expecting him to have a really good season all year long and give you his numbers. Now, as far as Stewart, back to Eldridge and Bazana, the rookies. The book is kind of still out with as far as how MLB will pitch to these guys. And out of the gate, he was scorching hot. I do remember his BABIP was like 489. He was just everything was falling in for him. Although hitting hard, hard hit contact, exit velocity was elite. You let us know about his Savant page. But to your point, it is starting to cool off. Now, how long until he has a nice little hot streak again where he hits a home run in back-to-back games or a multi-home run game. So I'll keep my eye on him. Obviously, up to this point, he's been awesome. But yeah, I think you have them right where they belong because the two of them together, especially at Great America Small Park, they are a potent punch.
Yeah, I'd say they're a formidable bunch here. Again, to your point, I'm glad you brought it up. Ball flies out of there. He's batting fourth. I think he's in a great spot. Yeah, I'm not sure there's much else to say. I mean, Elliot De La Cruz's 162 game pace is incredible. Let's see if it lasts. If it is, if it does, it's I think bad news for the rest of the NL Central here. Number four, I came to the NL East. I went to our nation's capital and I chose CJ Abrams and James Wood. Now, Sean, I know your fantasy team name last year is the namesake of one of these individuals. Now, combined, they're batting 258. That is the lowest on the list. Fairly pedestrian from a combined batting average, but that's what you get with a lot of strikeouts. Their OPS 899, 18 combined home runs, 53 combined RBIs, 49 runs, and 12 stolen bases. So you would think when you see 12 stolen bases, you're probably thinking CJ Abrams. No, it's pretty much split down the middle at 7 and 5, respectively. Sean, are we buying? I'm buying C.J. Abrams more than I'm buying James Wood. I just don't like the lack of discipline and the swing and miss stuff from James Wood. Like, yes, he has 10 home runs, 25 RBIs, but I just like the player in C.J. Abrams more than I like the player in James Wood. What say you?
Is it all right to like them both?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to be exclusive to one or the other.
Yeah, I think this is, the Nationals absolutely have their core to build around with these two young guys, Abrams and Wood. Like you mentioned, that one of these guys was the namesake of my ball club last year, the Redwood Forest. So I think you guys can guess who that was. Taking a closer look at Wood, the K percentage it's at 32%, 32.7. That is high. However, he's still walking. The walk decay is 0.55, so not horrible. If you remember a few episodes ago, Trout was at 0.88, somewhere around there. So Wood at 0.55, but you're getting elite power, the elite ability to put the ball over the fence. He's got the 10 dingers already. If you remember, like we mentioned, I had him last year, and he came out of the gate scorching hot all the way up until the All-Star break, and then he went to the Home Run Derby, and his season was wrecked from then. It was bad. It was hard to watch. He was striking out at an enormous clip. And so maybe I was right. Maybe it was just a Home Run Derby, and that's all behind him. I hope, for his fantasy value's sake, he doesn't do the Home Run Derby again this year, because I really believe that screwed up his timing. But man, CJ Abrams, James Wood, look for this duo to be on this list for years to come.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Sean. Number three, we're going to the AL West. We are going to the state of Texas, the great state of Texas, the red state of Texas, Sean. Hopefully that stays red here. We have Yordan Alvarez and Christian Walker. Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about Yordan Alvarez in a bunch of the previous segments here. They are batting a combined 316, which is the best on the list here. Duo OPS of 1.019, 21 combined dingers, 54 ribby, 49 runs, and only one stolen base. We know we're not getting stolen bases out of these two. Now, Alvarez, I think, it's beating a dead horse here. It's all about health. I think he certainly started off hotter than he currently is right now, but he's certainly maintained a very respectable pace. I think the big surprise here, Sean, is Christian Walker. I mean, what he's doing, 963 OPS. He has 9 home runs of his own, 27 ribby and 23 runs. I mean, he's trailing Yordan a little bit, but honestly, there's not a huge gulf between the two of them right now, and that makes for some good news down there in Houston. Team is struggling as a whole. I think the pitching's fairly weak down there, but these two guys here, we only have two pairs that are better than them at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, Alvarez, nothing to add there. We've covered him at length, and he's awesome. He's elite. Now, as far as Walker, previous episode we had him on sell high, and I still think that's right. But you can get a lot for him right now. And kind of the point to make, because he's 35 years old. You're kind of in that no man's land of when they fall off a cliff. Not to say he's going to fall off a cliff, because here he is on this list as the number 3 hitting duo. But you got to go back to 2023, the last time he hit more than 30 home runs, which was 33. So where do you think he's going to end up this year? If you think he's going to hit 40 bombs, maybe you keep him. If you think he's going to finish around 28, which is pretty much his average, he's already at 9. So maybe he's a guy you cash in on. But as far as Walker and Alvarez together, you're going to get a lot of home runs. It seems like a lot of people like hitting in Minute Maid Ballpark, kind of friendly on the eye. You got the Crawford boxes in left. But man, these two together, elite power.
I think ballpark factor matters. I'm glad you brought that up. Um, 8 of his 9 home runs are to left field. I don't have the home and road splits here, but obviously, if they're at home, he loves that Crawford box section over there. All right, Sean, our last two. Are you ready for our last two
I'm
here?
ready.
I think these last two are not debatable at all. The order in which they're in. We're going to go back to the NL East and the team that is pacing the rest of the circuit over there, the Atlanta Braves, with their duo of Matt Olson and Drake Baldwin. Batting a combined 306, combined OPS of 988, 22 dingers, 63 ribby, 68 runs, and 1 stolen base. So, of this bunch, they have the most RBI and the most runs. They're scoring at a pretty electric pace down there in Atlanta. Um, Sean, I don't want to toot the old horn here, but I think I've been clamoring here for Drake Baldwin for at least the last 7 episodes, and even prior to the draft, he was somebody that I was certainly targeting. You don't have a chance to get him now, is the bottom line here. So he has 9 home runs in his own right, 30 ribby. He's batting second in that lineup. Right now, Ronald Acuna on the IL, hamstring issues. He hasn't stopped. Him and Matt Olson have just picked up where they left off. Carrying Ronald Acuna while he's out, carrying that Atlanta Braves team right now. In addition to the pitching staff that has been very, very surprising down there in Atlanta. Sean, any debate about Matt Olson and Drake Baldwin at number 2 here?
No, I think the story in the headline here is how early Zums was on Drake Baldwin, and to double down, he has Matt Olson on his fantasy team. So this has Zom written all over it, and he's cashing in on these two. You don't want to call them predictions, but he saw this coming as far as the success with Matt Olson and Drake Baldwin, and in Zom's Baldwin 899 OPS. Anytime a catcher has an OPS over 800, let's just call it 900, round up to the 900, and you're managing the pitching staff. I give big kudos to those guys. Those guys are worth their weight in gold. They're extremely valuable. I expect, actually both these guys to be on the short list at the end of the year for NL MVP. The Braves are in first place, and a huge reason is these two guys.
I think Drake Baldwin can certainly add to the trophy case of NL Rookie of the Year last year as well. Yeah, I love Matt Olson. Another home run last night. Again, it's awesome. They're playing late at night, so I'm going to bed. I'm waking up. I'm scrolling down. I'm looking at my notifications from ESPN Fantasy, and I see another home run by Matt Olson at around 10:52 local time here. And it just, it's a nice thing to wake up to, Sean. And I've been waking up to a lot of those when they play out on the left coast there. So I'm very, very happy about the Matt Olson pick at 33. Obviously, these are everybody on this list. They're not available in any league. They shouldn't be. That goes without saying. So, Sean, I don't think the last one's very debatable either. I think they're steadfast number 1 here. And we got to go up to the Bronx here with the Bronx Bombers and the New York Yankees. We have Aaron Judge and Ben Rice. I'm going to go through these very, very quick. I love the fact that Ben Rice has multi-position eligibility as well. That goes a really, really long way. You can throw him in a catcher and get a huge pickup there from him. But duo batting average 275. This combined OPS, Sean, 1.137 is, man, I don't know, not sustainable, I don't think, but who knows? I mean, it very well could be. They're having historic years: 26 combined home runs, 54 combined RBI, 63 total runs, 7 stolen bases, pacing the AL East. Very, very bad division, but they're a very good team. I mean, you could almost even throw Cody Bellinger on here as kind of a step down from these two guys, because those 3 guys are producing right now at an elite level. Like I said, with a down AL East, there's no reason at this point in time with that pitching staff and the reinforcements they have coming. Cam Schlittler's there, Will Warren's there. You got Ryan Weathers in the rotation right now. Rodon, Garrett Cole are coming back. It's a plethora of riches over there, Sean. And I know that you love Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees, so I'm going to let you go ahead.
Yeah, all rise for the Judge. And rest in peace, John Sterling. What a legend, a true giant in the game. So we will miss him. But Zums, Rice avoided serious injury with the thumb when he was, it looked like he was taking a pick off over at first. You hit the nail on the head though with him. Um, so Judge has 159 plate appearances, Rice 134 plate appearances, so pretty similar. And you can slot Rice in at catcher. So that's just elite value there. The OPS for Rice at 1.214. Like you mentioned, I'd be shocked to see him finish the year over 1,000, but could be over 900. And Zums, while you were kind of teeing that up there, what I was thinking about Jazz Chisholm because last year I had Jose Ramirez all year long, which I was thrilled with the results. However, the one thing I took away from my experience with Jose Ramirez is he has no roster protection in the lineup. And with Jazz, you got Ben Rice, you got Judge, you mentioned Bellinger. When Stanton's healthy, he's out there, and Jazz Chisholm gets to reap the benefits. So I think moral of the story is the Yankees are the Yankees, they're the Bronx Bombers for a reason, and these two are leading the charge.
And Sean, I would be remiss as I was going through the starting rotation over there, leaving out our boy Max Fried up there as well. Just again, hard to imagine a situation where they're not winning the division and finding themselves in the ALCS at the end of the year, given what they've done so far to this point. I don't think there's any other better roster construction right now in the AL. So, Sean, that does it here for our next, top five hitting duos here. I'd like to put something together maybe next week, 2 weeks, few weeks down the line here. Maybe just give a top one or two, maybe top three bullpens in the league at some point. Quick segment just to make sure we kind of cover all of our bases there as well. So, I know that we're starting to get to the point now where we are hitting the waiver wire, Sean, and this is where you find a lot of success. You do a lot of research, a lot of due diligence here, and so we have a list of a few hitters and a few pitchers. And the first hitter that you have teed up here is Kyle Stowers, who is a Miami Marlin outfielder who just recently returned in the last few weeks from an injury. He's 35% owned. Sean, what do we think here about Kyle Stowers?
I'm going to start big picture. You mentioned we have some proof of concept here with the waiver wire. Okamoto with the Blue Jays, Mickey Moniak with the Rockies. So the whole idea here, kind of dating back to our opening segment with the prospects, is you got to see the trends coming before they happen. And what I always go back to is trust the back of the baseball card. So these hitters and pitchers are pretty much that. An example of trust in the back of the baseball card. So Kyle Stowers, the Miami Marlins outfielder. I actually own him in Dynasty. Started the year on the IL with the hamstring injury, so he was kind of forgotten. And he is coming out of the gate slow. In 54 at bats, only a 222 at batting average. The OPS is at 600. Hasn't hit a home run yet. But if you go back to last year, in 399 at bats, the average is 288 and 912 OPS with 25 home runs. So I think this is a time to get him at his cheapest. 35% owned should be out there available. I would expect a hot streak around the corner for Kyle Stowers. Zums next. Trent Grisham is a guy that you see him constantly coming onto teams, getting dropped. His name's always kind of in the waiver wire logs. He started out the year slightly cold. OPS right now at 673. But again, trust in the back of the baseball card. He comes to New York and has great success. 811 OPS last year with 34 bombs. He's teammates with Aaron Judge. He's got our boy Ben Rice. What's not to love about Trent Grisham? Why is he only 19% owned?
I think people look at batting average and OPS, and they pretty much leave it at that, I would say. I don't know. Last year, he just broke out. I think it seemingly came out of nowhere last year. I think the batting average leaves a lot to be desired. In 2024, he batted 190. 2025, he was at 235, despite the 34 home runs. And this year, he's at 170. Looking a little bit deeper here, his Savant page is shockingly very, very red. And for the viewers at home, savant pages that are red are typically advantageous for who we're looking at here. So the XBA is 240. That's one of the lowest things that he has on his page. Everything else is dead red. Barrel rate, exit velo, hard hit percentage, squaring up percentage, not chasing a lot, not whiffing a lot, not striking out a lot, walking a ton. I mean, in points leagues, I think stuff like that's important. Sean, I know you talk about walks a lot, and a walk's as good as a base hit, right? So we like walks. I think in category leagues, he's probably, a little less beneficial to own over there. But points are points, despite how you get them. It doesn't really matter. If he's out there, I think he's going to return good value. Do I see 34 home runs on the horizon? No, I'm a little bit, bearish on that. I don't think we're going to see a repeat of what 2025 brought. But can he hit 20? Sure, I can envision a scenario where he hits 20 and scores 80 runs. I mean, is that somebody worth stashing on a roster? I think so.
Yeah, the thing with Grisham, and I remember this last year, is he goes on red hot streaks where he'll hit, four home runs in bunches. So Trent Grisham, point here is I think you're going to see that OPS climb up over these next 2 months, and we'll see that ownership number go from 19 maybe to into the 30s. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. The last hitter here that we'd like to talk about on the waiver wire on hitters to add. I know this is personal to you and one of your favorites, Casey Schmidt, second baseman, third baseman for the San Francisco Giants. I got an up close and personal look at him last week in our matchup where I did come out victorious by a slim margin. I believe it was 3.4 points, but who's counting? Now, Schmidt, he's red hot right now. In 2026, 914 OPS with 6 home runs, 18 RBIs. He's useful around the field. They're talking about putting him in the outfield, so he's going to have multiple position eligibility. I know, like I said, he's on your team. What are your thoughts on Casey Schmidt?
Yeah, he's on a bad real life team, and he's on a worse fantasy team. But listen, I picked him up 10 days ago. So April 27th, I picked him up. I added him, and I actually just had to pull it up here. I know this is not good podcasting, but I picked him up for $12. He was available. Now, he's somebody else similar to Matt Olson. I'm waking up, I'm getting alerts that he's hitting home runs, back-to-back games now with home runs. It was slim pickings out there for me. I recognize the value in Casey Schmidt. I had him at some point last year as well, but he's somebody else who was kind of in and out of lineups last year. His spray chart looks good, hits the ball all over the ballpark, which I like to see. I like to know that the fundamentals are in place, then he can hit the ball to all fields here. Savant Page looks really, really good. Expected batting average is 287. Expected slug is 551, actually. He's barreling up the ball a ton. He's chasing a little bit, but, as a young hitter, I think it's going to happen. He's returning tremendous value right now. I'm in a situation with him where, hopefully, like you said, Sean, if we can get him outfield eligibility as well, that just opens up more possibilities. We love guys who have the ability to play multiple positions in our roster. I think he's going to be a mainstay. He's one of the few bright spots over there in San Francisco right now, I believe, and I have to check on this. I believe he's hitting fourth over there. So he doesn't have a ton of RBI right now, just because the people in front of him aren't really getting on base. But he's doing it himself. He's hitting himself in from a runs production standpoint. So I like Casey Schmidt. I think he's certainly worth a flyer. And it's funny. I actually had. I think I said this last week, where I had somebody from my work reach out to me and say, "Hey, I watched your episode, awesome podcast." He's like, here's what I have sitting out there right now. Who do you like? And I identified Chase DeLauder and Schmidt for him on the wire, got them picked up, inserted into the lineup, and have paid pretty great dividends over the last week plus. So yeah, we're excited for Casey Schmidt. It's strange though, his Savant page has him listed as first base, Sean. So we might be seeing a situation at some point where he can play first, second, third, and outfield, which would obviously just be a huge bargain for me as well. So yeah, we like Casey Schmidt. We respect his work.
Yeah, what's going to factor into where he kind of finds a home is that they did bring up Eldridge. And so as of now, the first 2 games, Eldridge has been slotted in a designated hitter. And so what does that mean for as far as Arias? What does that mean for Chapman? Where does Casey Schmidt find a home? He did say back in high school he did play the outfield, so let's see if maybe that'll open up for him as well. He should be extremely valuable. So moving over to the pitchers. I know we talk about anytime you bring up pitchers, you got to talk about injuries, and this when you talk about Shane McClanahan, the first thing that comes to mind is health, and lack thereof for him. This is his first season back since 2023, dealing with injuries. And in 2026, though, however, 29 innings pitched, records at 3-2, ERA 3.10. The WHIP 1.117, K per nine looking solid 9.31, and the xFIP not bad 3.94. He's only 40% owned, zone. That's the headline here. So a lot of folks out there, you can go grab him right now. Anything to add on Shane McClanahan, zone?
No, I think so far it's just been a mixed bag for him. Honestly, the Rays are one of like the three teams over in the AL right now that are over 500, which is a little bit shocking to me. So, they're trying to keep pace with the Yankees as we kind of talk through how great they've been so far. It's been a mixed bag. I'd say 6 starts, 3 good, 3 bad, but working himself back from injury. They hope that he returns to form like he was in 2022, where he was 12-8, or 2023, where he was 11-2 with sub 3.3 ERAs. I mean, I think the stuff's there. I think he's dynamic. He has a 4-pitch repertoire. He uses the four-seamer around 38% of the time. He's averaging about 95 miles per hour. So you like to see that out of Shane Mack. We're excited for him to be back because I think the league is a better place when he's going on all cylinders.
Absolutely. Good analysis. I want to tee you up for this next one because he is on your ball club, and another young arm that I was taking a watch this week in our matchup. Max Meyer, the young right-hander for the Miami Marlins. Just give us your analysis, your opinion, and how valuable he will be moving forward in 2026.
No, he's 2-0, 40 strikeouts, 2.68 ERA, little over 1 at 1.03 WHIP. His last outing, he went 7 strong, 1 hit, 1 walk, 7 Ks, picked up 27.7 points against the Philadelphia Phillies. I've been getting, I will say this, I'm getting inundated right now with offers for Max Meyer. I'm both dangling him and I'm receiving offers on my side of things. I think he's really good. And I think, when we talked a little bit earlier about Robert Snelling coming up here for the Fish, I honestly think it's one of the best pitching staffs in the league. They don't have a 1-2 combination like we talked about last week that's necessarily up there yet, but I think for years to come they can be. I think he has elite stuff. His four-seamer is around 95 miles an hour. He has a 5-pitch mix. He's a 6 foot 196, not a huge guy overall, but very, very efficient this year. I almost wish that the Marlins would take more so a page out of the Sandy Alcantara book and let him just keep going when his pitch count is healthy. What do they have to lose down there? Letting this guy go. He's been pulled a few times this year now where pitch counts have not been an issue, where they've just turned the game over to the bullpen. We'd like to see him go a little bit longer, but picking up quality starts, I think that. And Sean, breaking news as we're sitting here, Astros Carlos Correa will miss the remainder of the 2026 season, tearing a tendon in his ankle. So, hey, Carlos, we wish you well. Awful news there for the Houston Astros. So, yeah, Sean, I mean, Max Meyer, I love the guy. My team does not have a high-end starter per se. I have a lot of guys kind of in this range now. And we've already talked about a few guys on my roster, and some of the viewers might be saying, "How the hell are you 1-4? How are you in 19th place out of 20th in this league?" And I think there's more to the story there. Maybe that's a conversation for a different time. But yeah, we like Max. We're gonna probably hang on to Max unless we get blown away with an offer.
I like this version of Zum. This is Zum Schefter, breaking news on the fly. The phone is buzzing. That is all of Zum's sources. Plugging away, letting him know. Like we said, he was up in Fenway doing some work, so we weren't kidding. Zum, I think you need to hang on to Max Meyer. I think you got a gem. The whip is at 1.03, and you said it yourself. Anything over 9 K per 9 is good. This is at 9.73. If you do end up parting ways with him, please get a haul because I think you got a young stud there. And like you said, it helps when the staff is well rounded, right? Like when it's one guy back in the day when Alcantara was kind of doing it by himself, that they were losing a zillion games. That they do have a well-rounded staff that's going to add Bob Snelling. Max Meyer is going to be a fantasy asset for years to come. Zum, I know this name looks familiar because I had him off and on last year. That is Tony Santillan, the Cincinnati Reds relief pitcher, 15% owned. But the reason why he's making this list, his teammate, current closer Emilio Pagan, went down last night with a looked like a pretty bad hamstring injury.
He was carted off, Sean. I mean, how many times have you seen a guy get carted off for a hamstring injury?
Yeah, and it was the first pitch. Sounded like he was dealing with some soreness in the hamstring weeks leading up to this, and then that just sucks when it's the first pitch. It must have been inevitable. So that seems to be maybe a 2-monther hamstring injury instead of a few weeks. So point being, Tony Santillan should slot in as the everyday closer for a pretty good Reds team. Everyone's good in the NL Central nowadays. 2026 stats: 15 innings, 15 and 2/3. The ERA is at 2.87, WHIP 1.28, K per 9.19. xFIP isn't as great, 4.46. He's elite at hold some. He had 33 last year. He already has 9 this year. Had 7 saves last year. Does have 1 this year, but it's all about opportunity. He's going to get all the opportunities for saves in Cincinnati. Do you like adding Tony Santillan to your ball club?
I guess let me ask you this, Sean. If you were in a 20-team league and Tony Santillan was available, what would you spend on him?
I would probably spend. Well, I'm guessing we probably have proof of concept here. Actually, no, he's been owned in our league. I would say to grab him, 25, $30, depending on how much budget you get. But I would go after him for sure.
All right, Sean, so it sounds like you're going to be going after him because there was some managerial malpractice today. Tony Santillan was dropped by the Vogelmonts. I don't know if he didn't see the news last night of what happened, but he is going to be probably the number 1 pickup on the wire tomorrow, I would say.
Let's play a game. So for the viewers at home, we start the year with $1,000 on the Fab. I've spent a ton. However, I have faith in my plan as far as you got to get these guys early. You don't just find these guys at the end of the year. There's a reason why they're coming up at the beginning of the year. So I am a little low, but how much would you pay for them?
I mean, I've spent a third of my budget so far, which is fine. At some point, there's going to be stabilization on the roster. You're not going to be making moves every single day. I think dude, it looks like his hamstring tore.
Right, he could be out for the season.
He could be out for a while, and I'm not a huge believer in the Reds overall. We just saw Pirates take belt to ass on them over the last weekend. So I believe that they're going to be in a lot of games, and I believe they're going to use the closer a lot. I mean, I think there's value there for sure. I would probably go upwards of 35 or 40 if we can get solidified evidence that he's certainly going to be the first in line for save opportunities. I'm baffled. I don't know what happened. I'm surprised there hasn't been any scuttlebutt here in the group chat about what the hell he was thinking dropping this guy. Again, the injury, it wasn't like Pagan's going to come back tomorrow. I'm baffled that there was not some sort of deviation from the plan there.
So you called him Pagan, I call him Pagan. But hey, maybe if Shea stopped, busting down our door asking for an invite on the pod, maybe he'd be up to date on the closer situations around MLB, because he just let the Cincinnati Reds closer number 1 slip through his fingertips, and you can bet your bottom dollar he won't be going back to Vogelman's unless he really wants to use some of that credit card. All right, Zumps. And this one I'm extremely proud of. He dealt last night against the Los Angeles Dodgers, went 7 innings, got the win. That is none other than Peter Lambert, the Houston Astros starting pitcher, only 3% owned. Zums in 2026, 22 and a third inning pitch, 2-2 record. The ERA is at 2.42. WHIP 1.16. The K per nine's at 9.27. XFIP not bad, 4.11. The kind of the headline here is he pitched in Japan last year, so kind of under the radar coming into 2026. But did have solid numbers in Japan, 116 innings. ERA was 4.26. The K per nine 8.05. They also track XFIP over in the Japanese leagues, 3.19. So it's nice to have that. But I've watched him now in a handful of starts. He gets guys to swing and miss. He took down the mighty Dodgers last night. Only 3% owned. So deeper leagues, Peter Lambert, someone great to target. What do you think, Do you think this is sustainable?
I do, and I was on a bit of a Dalton Rushing binge last week, trying to deal him, knowing that Gabe Moreno was coming back. I was eventually able to deal Dalton Rushing, but I did float a trade out to the Freemason Freddies for Peter Lambert. I'm not sure if that trade offer was acknowledged. It certainly was not acknowledged in our dialogue, either via group chat here or rejection of the offer. And I said to somebody the other day, I'm like, ESPN should have like a nudge button where you can nudge somebody on a deal up to like 7 times a day just to annoy the shit out of them. You know what I mean? Either way, it's like I think he's a good player, but like these are the kind of guys in a 20-team league that you're trying to make a deal for. I think you identified the talent. Obviously, I think a lot of people in general. And I'm not saying you. I'm not saying the Freemason Freddies. I'm just saying people tend to overvalue the guys on their rosters. I'm certainly guilty of it as well. I was trying to pull a fast one to make up for a deal that was made maybe 7 or so years ago, Sean, when we first met. I don't know exactly when it was. You have a better memory than me.
We've hashed it out plenty of times. I'd say it was probably 8 years ago. But Zums has come a long way. But Zums, I think my favorite thing, and not that he's been dropped and picked up, but when you're talking about 3% owned, anything under 10%, a lot of these guys are transactional, right? So they will come and go on rosters. One of my favorite things is to pay attention on waiver wire day. Ours hits at 11, and there's a handful of teams out there that I really pay close attention to on who they drop. Maybe yourself, Bolsh. I would even put Shea in that bucket. But man, I'd say he whiffed today. But point of the story is, it's nice to go back and look at that log, and if they got a horse doctor next to him on the transaction list, it's like, all right, this guy was on Zum's radar at one point. That means there was something there. So that's exactly what I did here with Lambert. I thought something was there. Now, will he be dropped later this year? Who knows? He might get shelled next time out. But for right now, he's dealing, and he's a proud member of Freemason Freddies.
Do you think there's a better feeling than going on the offers report and seeing, when you get a guy, what other people bid on him, and seeing like 7 people underneath you bid on a guy? I think there's no better feeling than that either.
Yeah, I'd say the opposite feeling is when you bid a lot and no one put in a bid in, and that's happened to me.
Health, I think it's happened to all of us. I don't think you've been doing fantasy baseball long enough if it hasn't happened to you.
Yeah, so we're hustling out there, and it's just funny, day to day, week to week. Attention spans come and go as far as who you're going against, and yeah, so you're out there reading X and looking for trends, and sometimes it's kind of in the public realm, in the mainstream, and sometimes it isn't. Right now, Peter Lambert, way under the radar. Get in early while you still can. Zums, that gets us to the critically acclaimed, the wildly popular Word on Wall Street. Now, Zums, we've maintained that we feel like this is the segment where we can provide the most value as far as the look into stocks, as far as who's rising and who's dropping, because now is the time to start wheeling and dealing, making trades, and in your mind, you're out there looking to rob someone as far as a trade, look to get tons of value back and get ahead of the trends and win deals bigly. So, Zums, we're going to start with a couple sell highs. I know you've had this first name, Byron Buxton, the Minnesota Twins outfielder. In 2026, 843 OPS, 260 batting average, 11 home runs, 17 RBIs, 26 runs scored, 2 stolen bases. So on the surface here, everything looks great. However, Byron Buxton has an extensive track record being injury prone. It's been a long time since he's been able to put a full season together. So I'm expecting that trend to he's not going to buck that trend. He's going to continue to be familiar with the IL. I would sell high. What's your opinion?
Well, somebody very close to me and a dear friend of mine always says he's a sneeze away from the IL. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's a bunch of guys like that in the league, and there's not a big leash on these types of players like you've alluded to. The question with him is always going to be is he too injury prone? I think the answer is unequivocally yes. But again, when you're selling high, you're basically counting on people to look at the surface level stats of these guys and say, "Wow, he's having a great year," and then you're just trying to fleece somebody because you know that he's at his peak of his powers right now and that this isn't sustainable. I don't personally believe that it is sustainable. I think he's on a bad team, and honestly, having owned him last year and having traded for him last year, I was extremely underwhelmed by what I got in return from him. Um, yeah, Sean, I would say he certainly, if he's on your roster, see what you can float around for him. If you can, identify weaknesses on your roster to move a guy like Byron Buxton, I don't think that'll keep you awake at night by getting rid of him. So I think we're in agreement with Byron Buxton.
Absolutely. Now, this next one is interesting because I owned him last year, and by no means by making the sell high list does that mean that we think these players are cruddy and they're not valuable. Obviously, Buxton had the 843 OPS. He's doing well. Now, Miguel Vargas, Chicago White Sox first baseman, third baseman, currently sporting a 798 OPS, 222 batting average, 7 home runs, 18 RBIs, 24 runs, and also giving you some speed on the base pass with 6 swipes. But for me, I've just, looking at the back of the baseball card, he's shown me enough that this doesn't seem to be his norm as far as being at an 800 OPS. I expect that number to dip down. So while he's up there and while he's a commodity, I would look to get some value on him. Get 10 cents on the dollar and package a player with him because right now he's appealing. Do you agree, disagree, Zom, on Miguel Vargas?
Yeah, I think he's an unexciting player. His savant page looks really, really good. It's really, really red across the board. And Sean, we talked about the best hitting duos in the league, and we had mentioned, and I did not provide who else was on this list as an honorable mention. I would say the sixth best duo right now is J.J. Weatherholt and Jordan Walker from the St. Louis Cardinals. But I'm hesitant to even put out there that maybe seventh is Murakami and Vargas at this point. Vargas is having a good year. The counting stats are certainly there. Again, his savant page is pretty electric in terms of being red. His expected slug is 481. Well, it's actual only 437. He does not chase anything. He has very, very good plate discipline. He's not whiffing a lot. His strikeout rate and his walk rate are exactly the same at 16.8%. So anytime you can match walks with strikeouts, you love that ratio there. I think the White Sox are on the up and up. I have a hard time trusting them. Again, they're in a really, really bad division. But they certainly have some electricity in that lineup. Getting the foreign import and Murakami was absolutely incredible. What he's doing right now, again, I don't think it's necessarily sustainable. But what an exciting time right now to be a White Sox fan. Well, it looks like Sean is having a bit of connectivity issues, so I'm just going to continue running the show here. We're going to go to the buy low option on the word on Wall Street. We have Aaron Nola, who is a starting pitcher for the Phillies. We all know who Aaron Nola is. His last start here was on Monday at Miami. He went 6 strong, 5 hits, 5 Ks. So far in 2026, 37.1 innings pitched, 2-3 record, 5.50 ERA, 1.45 WHIP, and about 10 Ks per 9 with a 3.57 xFIP. Sean, I was just going through the first candidate on the buy low list in Aaron Nola. Kyan trying to keep the ball rolling here, try to enter seamlessly into this next segment. Sean, Aaron Nola, we all know who he is. He's had a great track record, bit more inconsistent over the last few years. Sean, why do you like Aaron Nola, and why do you believe that he is a buy low
All
candidate?
right, and we're back here. Aaron Nola. This is the back of the baseball card situation here, Zum. He's been doing it long enough for me to just put him in as a fantasy asset. Now, last start was on May 4th at the Miami Marlins. Went 6 innings, 0 earned runs, 5 hits, 0 walks, 5 Ks. But up until this point, he's been shaky. 37 and a third innings pitched, 2-3 record, 5.05 ERA. The WHIP up at 1.45. But he still had the 9.64 K per nine. And oh, look at this. The XFIP 3.57. Maybe a little foreshadowing that some better days were ahead for Aaron Nola. So like I mentioned, he had the good start back on May 4th. So, right now he's kind of in limbo as far as what people are going to think about him. But I would absolutely start to put out some feelers on including Aaron Nola in a deal and trying to get him on the low. All right, Zums next. Jack Leiter. We've seen him come and go in fantasy often over the last 2 years. Obviously pedigree with that last name. Last start was on May 3rd at the Detroit Tigers, where he went 6 2/3, 5 earned runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, but he did have 10 strikeouts. On the season, the ERA is at 5.45. But the K per nine zone's 10.18 and the XFIP 3.45. Do you agree that Jack Leiter is going to have some better days ahead and is going to be a valuable asset moving forward?
Oh, I hope so for himself. Former second overall pick out of Vanderbilt with the last name, like you mentioned. I don't know. I have a really, really hard time feeling this one out, Sean, to be honest with you. It's just been, I mean, he's a young guy. He's just been so inconsistent. Um, he has good starts, but then he'll turn around and have an awful start. It's just, right now, I personally would not be targeting him. But again, I think it's roster construction and what you have available to you and what you're willing to deal for him. If you're weak at pitcher and you want to take a shot on a guy like this and you have a mid-tier bat that you can maybe float out there and get some decent return on, maybe you go ahead and do it. But under the hood, it looks just as bad as pretty much the surface level stats do, Sean. So not much noteworthy here. He's getting barreled up a ton, getting hit really, really hard. His expected batting average is 263. That's typically not a good sign. xERA is 487, a little bit lower here than what his real ERA is. XFIP, as you mentioned, yeah, it shows some maybe more promising days ahead. But I just don't think right now he's doing anything exceptionally well.
There you go. There you have it from Zums. Although 10 strikeouts last start, Zums not impressed. But hey, he has struggled. So I think this one could go either way. But if you're looking to get a little crafty left-hander for the Texas Rangers, Jack Leiter.
I would just add, Sean. I think when people say like, "What's your basis for this?" I would just say, "Trust me, I'm a doctor."
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I would say.
And I want to correct it. I believe he's right-handed, right? And so we're not making this up. Is he Al Leiter's son? We're not making this up.
We're not making it up. This is not a
Denzel Boston
David Boston thing.
Situation.
Yeah, it's not one of those scenarios.
And
I'm amazed that got so much run and it ended up being a huge deal on the broadcast.
Yeah. So Jack Leiter not left-handed like his dad Al. He is right-handed. All right, Zums, pretty big name here. Was drafted universally pretty high around fantasy baseball leagues. Logan Webb, the San Francisco Giants right-handing starting pitcher. His last start out was on May 5th against the San Diego Padres, where he only made it 4 innings pitched with 5 earned, 7 hits, no walks with 4 Ks. And his manager, Tony Vitello, did mention Webb was dealing with some knee discomfort, but it sounds like it's not going to be a serious issue. I don't see his stock being any lower than it is today moving forward. Point being here, I think this is your opportunity to buy low. Do you agree on Logan Webb?
Yeah, I mean he's throwing up all over himself, and I think I hate when pitchers have bad starts. They always come out and say they're injured. Can anybody just take some accountability every once in a while and just say, "Hey, I sucked"? I wasn't good. I wasn't good enough. We're not getting that there. Coming into the season, the reason that I loved Logan Webb was because he's an innings eater. He's somebody who goes out there and he might give up 3 runs per start, but he's going out there and pitching every fifth day, getting a lot of strikeouts. Typically, is on a pretty decent team out there, so getting a lot of wins. 13 in 2024, 15 in 2025. With ERAs hovering around 3.4 and 3.2, 33 and 34 games started respectively. So if he goes out there and he pitches over 200 innings every single year, and you don't find many guys like that. Issue to this point though is he's just been bad. He's been really, really bad. So I guess if we're talking in terms of, buy low segment here, yeah, you're right. He's probably never going to be lower than he is right now. If you truly believe in a bounce back, and again, Sean, you're a back of the baseball card type guy, and I think objectivity here is our friend. I don't think there's much interpretation needed here. If you think he's going to equate to what he's been the last 2 years and what his track record has showed, then yeah, I think right now it's worth taking a swing at. I just I don't know if there's something mechanically that is just off. We're now 8 starts in. He's made 1/4 of starts that he's going to make for the entire year. We're 25% of the season through for Logan Webb. Is he going to revert back to what he was? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm going to say yes. The XFIP 3.44, so that makes me feel good. Now, just in case Logan Webb is tuning in, like we mentioned, Tony Vitello brought up the knee discomfort, but it's funny. I saw this clip last night, so I do want to give Logan some credit for taking some blame, because I'm reading a quote right here. He says, "I probably shouldn't have been in the game to begin with. I wasn't very good today." And the follow-up question was, "Do you mean you shouldn't have been in there because you?" Then he interjected and said, "Because I was dog shit today." That fires me up. So he understands that he can be better, and he's been
Well,
around.
I've changed my mind then. Yeah, I would target him.
Yeah, there you go.
I like somebody who's willing to take accountability for their actions.
There you go. And I give Zums credit there for being open-minded and willing to change his mind at a whim with new information. So Logan Webb taking a lot of accountability. You got to love to see that. I think if you were to buy low on Logan Webb, I think you'd be smart. Zums, rounding out the word on Wall Street. This is about as high-profile name as it gets. Fernando Tatis Jr., the San Diego Padres outfielder. Zums, pretty much the only stat that we need to cover here is he has yet to hit the ball out of the yard. Connor Griffin has more home runs than Fernando Tatis. You and I have
Joey Bart has more home runs than Fernando Tatis.
You and I have the same amount of home runs as Fernando Tatis Jr. I will say he's still swiping bags. 9 stolen bases this year. It's been it's out there in the open that he dealt with the steroid suspension years ago, and we've maintained the same talk track with him. He hasn't been the same after the steroids compared to before. And look, here we are, 0 dingers. We're now into May. Now, is he going to finish at 0? Obviously not. He'll probably he'll get up around 25 if I had to guess. But Zums, his stock can't be lower than it is right now. So if you're a fan of his and you want to get him on your team, I'd go knocking. What do you think, Zum?
Yeah, I mean, I'm notably not the biggest Fernando Tatis fan. He was drafted 8th overall, right after Ronald Acuna at 7th. Obviously hasn't returned the value yet. Steals bag, does a few things well, but the lack of power is a little bit concerning here. I think you're going to fall into the trap here of people overhyping their guys. So somebody who drafted Fernando Tatis 8th overall, you're going to throw the name Tatis out there and you're going to get shut down right away because the last name is Tatis. I would not be willing to give up a ton to acquire Fernando Tatis. I just think there are better, more marginal players out there that can match what he does as well. I would be hard pressed to say that he makes it to the 25 number. I'd actually be willing to bet he does not go over 18 home runs this year. I'm not, again, like I said, I'm not a huge Fernando Tatis fan overall. So not really my cup of tea. Don't love the way he plays the game. Shout out to Ron Beaumont on that one. As well. Yeah, I'm avoiding. Sean, do you feel differently about that?
I mean, I would I would be looking to get him on the cheap. Like the 9 stolen bases are awesome. Up until this point, I feel like the Padres are pretty good as far as that offense they have. I tune in at night to watch Jackson Merrill, and Machado looks good. Bogarts looks good. Cronenworth hasn't been worth a shit, but I expect him to get going. I said what I said. I think he'll be around the 25 home run mark. So I think better days are to come. And yeah, you should be able to get him on the cheap. Like, it would be interesting if you wanted to do like a pitcher for Tatis swap, a 1-for-1 swap. You could come out looking smart, because we always say we like chasing home runs, and right now he's at 0, and like I said, I expect him to get around 25 at the end of the year. But that's what's fun, is nobody will know, and that's why we play the games. And speaking of games, last night, as we wrap up, the Pirates lost to Arizona Diamondbacks 9-0. Don't want to take a ton of time on the Buccos this week, but I think the only topic I wanted to talk to you about pertains to a guy that I've had on my ball club in the past, Bubba Chandler, who I owned all year last year and then didn't get to use him because I dropped him the day before he got called up. But it seems like nothing's ever going to be easy with him. You're now not the only one saying that he is a thrower, not a pitcher. That's kind of now the tagline he's getting, and it makes sense. Like, he really, sometimes it looks like he doesn't know where the ball is going. Now, as far as his approach, last night the line was 5 innings pitched, only 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 6 walks, 4 Ks. And I will note, he did get some bad luck on the Cruz and Reynolds miscue out in the outfield, where they weren't tagged with an error, so that went on Chandler's line. But that absolutely should have been caught, most likely by Reynolds, and I'm imagining Cruz came in and yelled him off. But Zom's back to Chandler. The $1 million question is, everything sounds like when Jared Jones is healthy and fully capable, he has a spot in this rotation. So my question to you is, who would you rather have in the rotation? Let's say we're in August and September. Is it Carmen Mlodzinski or Bubba Chandler?
I like my range of outcomes. I like my ceiling and my floor to be as close as possible in a situation with, like, you're talking a fifth starter here. I don't love the volatility that comes with Bubba Chandler. I would go with Carmen in the fifth spot there. I just I was watching the game last night, and, like, yeah, he got tagged with those runs in the first inning. Bad communication in the outfield, but the 6 walks. This is just becoming commonplace for him at this point. It's not good, and the fact that they had to have a pitching coach and the catcher come out in that inning to come and calm him down. They noticed that he was just completely off, and that mentally he just wasn't there. Maybe he doesn't have the mindset to be a starting pitcher in this league. I don't know. Is it too early to say that? I mean, he was a Division 1. He could have been a Division 1 athlete, starting quarterback at Clemson. I'd like to think that between the years he's okay, but maybe he has a little bit of Mitch Keller to him early on in his career, where he just can't find it. He's just very mentally fragile, and he's not cut out for it right now.
And he's shaved the mustache, so he's clearly searching for answers when you start trimming up the facial hair to that extent. And Zoms, you know what I've been saying now. We're coming up on 3 weeks where I've predicted that Bubba Chandler will one day be the closer of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I think it makes total sense because now, again, back to his approach. He only allowed the 2 hits. To your point, the 6 walks. So if you put those together, 8 over 5 innings. So the whip there isn't awful. But you're playing with fire once you start putting guys on first, because then you can't pitch from the windup. Then, 1 home run, now it's a 2-run dinger. Next thing you know, your whole day's ruined.
I'll say this. I'll say, the whip obviously walks and hits, right? But, like, if you're not looking into it any deeper, you would look at a 1.6 whip, which, 8 hits and walks over 5 innings would equate to.
Yeah, it's too high.
it's too high. And like, I question, when you're saying a closer, like, you're out there as a pitcher, you're out there on an island anyways, but you have less runway when you're closing out a game in the ninth to win than you do to recover in the first, second, third, fourth inning. I don't think the cut of his jib is appropriate for a closer. I don't.
So
I don't buy it. I don't believe it.
so last year, if you remember, when he got the call, everyone was disappointed because they made it clear that he was going to be used as a reliever out of the gate. And if you remember, the walks were like totally gone because, as I mentioned earlier, I had him on my team all year long while he was in AAA Indianapolis. I cut him, and then he gets the call the next day. So I was watching him closely with anguish, and in AAA the walks were a problem. That's probably why his call up was so delayed. But coming out of the bullpen, it seemed like the issues were alleviated. And if we covered this on a previous episode, but based on balls per nine last year in the bigs was below 2. Now it's like up over 6. It's extremely inflated. My point and my thought process on why I think it would work is, when you're starting a game, your kind of game plan is you got to think about attacking these guys 3, maybe 4 times through a lineup. When you're the closer, they haven't seen you all day long until the ninth inning, and he's coming in with 101, 109. His fastball is elite, and zone. He only gave up 2 hits, so he knows, like, when he attacks the zone, he gets guys out. But back to your point, you can't walk guys. So in my head, I think if and when he gets the 1 inning spot, I think the walks go away magically.
I think this is why this show not only is great, but has the potential to be even better, because there is a mutual respect here of disagreement on this individual pitcher that we're talking about. I don't buy it. I don't believe in him. I don't believe in your boy Jazz Chisholm. I don't believe in those two guys. I've been pretty outright in terms of how I speak about both of those guys. For the Pirates' sake, I hope that he does well. I just don't see him right now as a starter, and I don't see him as a back end guy. I mean, if you can get him in for 2 innings, 3 innings long relief, maybe that's the best spot for him right now. But right now, he's searching for it, and he cannot find it.
All right. So, anything else to add with the Bucs before we land this plane?
With the Bucks specifically, 2 hits last night's not great. You're not going to win many games having 2 hits. Connor Griffin hitting the ball dead center, 110 off the bat. Obviously, I think he's coming around. That's great news for Pirates fans. Just not a lot of professional at bats last night. Kind of deflating. Glad I went to bed early. I think if you're looking at small sample size, first 2 innings, it looked ugly, and that kind of carried through. Eduardo Rodriguez, I don't know.
The $100 million man, according to Commissioner Bittner.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about him. You look at the stats and they're very underwhelming, but then he comes out and shoves like he did last night. Maybe they didn't have a good approach at the plate. Maybe they had bad Thai food. Maybe the flight wasn't good. I have no idea. Don't have a reason for it. Extremely disappointed in the effort last night. You got to keep pace in the NL Central. Losses like that are not only helping the win-loss record, but they are not helping the run differential either. Let's recover today. Let's get it figured out here. Let's take 2 or 3 here from the Snakes out in the desert.
Yeah, and I'm about to confirm it is a Paul Skeens start. So, you got to think the Pirates get the win tonight.
I hope so.
Zums, it's always a pleasure. I really like where this is heading as far as the scope and vision of Good Faith and Fastballs, and I'd like to give the floor to you to finish us here.
Yeah, no, I think me and Sean were talking the other day. We think that this has been going extremely well. The last episode 6, got last glance, it was around 40,000 views on the X machine. Listen, that's great. We're excited about that. I think that we can bring something that maybe few others can. A lot of personality, a lot of banter. We're not just sitting here giving you analytics. There's a narrative surrounding all this stuff. So I think that we bring really, really good value in that sense. I think we've identified 3 or 4 potential guests here where we're in the final stages of getting them on. So we hope to get that to you here sooner rather than later. Experts in the industry that have been doing this for a really, really long time that might be able to bring a different vantage point. But, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other's, and God bless the troops.
God bless the troops. See you next time.